Sci-Fi Fantasy Network, I'm talking to Jon Davey. He has been everything from Daleks and Cybermen to unit soldiers. Could you tell us a little bit about how you first got started in Doctor Who with the monsters?
My first outing in Doctor Who was back in 2005. They had the 4 Cybermen episodes. I went for an audition. I didn't know what the actual audition was going to be for, but we spent a day walking around, marching up and down, walking about with our eyes shut. At the end of the day, we were then told this was an audition to become the Cybermen, which was absolutely fantastic. And then they said, by the way, you are not allowed to tell anybody. We then went to Millennium Effects, tried on the Cybermen costumes. If it fitted and we were happy being in there, then we got the job. We spent probably about 30 to 40 days shooting the 4 Cybermen episodes in Series 2. And then after that, most of the same guys were brought back again to play the Ood, the Jadoon and the Hath. And then more recently, most of the other guys have gone off and got a proper job, but I've fortunately been available. So to date, I think it's 35 episodes that I've actually been in, and some say that's actually more than Colin Baker.
Have you been a Cyberman in the new form, that they've got these new costumes?
I haven't, unfortunately. The problem is I'm a little bit too buff to fit in the new Cybermen costume. So, but it wasn't all that bad, because in Death in Heaven I was a unit soldier, and I had a fairly nice little featured role. So basically I was a unit soldier on the aeroplane behind Missy when she was in the gurney, and then I get zapped at the end. So occasionally you do see my face. Normally I'm in a monster costume. I think the most recent outing where you do see my face is in the Zygon Inversion. I'm one of the policemen in the police car having a staring contest with the Doctor.
Which has been your favourite costume to don on the show so far?
Well, normally I would say the most comfortable. The original Cybermen, when we did back in Series 2, they weighed about 4 stone. So at the end of the day, you really knew about it. Obviously, being in a Dalek's great because you're actually sat down. I think my most favourite character that I played was the Headless Cyberman in the Pandorica Opens episode. So when you see the Cyberman walk around the corner and then go to pick up his head, that was me with a green screen bag over my head and over my arm, walking around the corner. So yeah, that's probably the most favourite thing that I've done. Yeah,
you've been in one of the giant new Daleks as well, I assume, have you?
Yeah, the Dalek Paradigm, that was my first outing as a Dalek. Until then, the Daleks were basically played by Barnaby Edwards, Nick Pegg, Dan Barrett and a couple of other guys. But in that scene, I believe there was 8 Daleks that were going to be seen on screen. So the other guys they got were basically the guys that played the Cybermen, so we were upgraded to be Daleks. I was in the Orange Dalek, the Dalek Scientist, and after that I've then been in the Asylum of the Daleks, Time of the Doctor, Day of the Doctor, the Magician's Apprentice and the Witch's Familiar, as a plethora of lots of different types of Daleks.
So how do you prepare for the roles? So you have to know where the monster has to be, if it's a Dalek or a Cyberman that has to talk?
Normally we would get one day, if it is a new monster, with the choreographer for Doctor Who, Elsa Burke, and she'll basically take us through the movements of how these monsters should move. The actual day of filming, we normally don't know what we're actually doing until we actually get there. We get given a brief idea, and then normally we have a rehearsal. And basically, whenever the crew aren't shooting, we'll actually take it upon ourselves to actually familiarise ourselves with the actual set or the location. Do the rehearsal with our helmets off, so we know where we're going. Count our steps. And then obviously when they film, the head goes on and we hit the mark.
How much time do you get to work with the other actors?
Doctor Who's a fairly hectic schedule. I believe that probably an episode's turned around in probably about 10 days, which is very, very quick. The best part about it is that when I'm in a monster costume and seeing, David Tennant, Matt Smith or Peter Capaldi act in front of you, I'm actually seeing Doctor Who, the stage show. I'm actually watching it live. I'm actually in the vicinity of these amazing actors, watching them act in close proximity. And also as well is great working with Peter Capaldi, because every time I've been on set with him, he'll just come up and introduce himself to me like I don't know who he is, but it's just a really nice, polite thing. And the first time I met him, it was on the no, actually it would have been the second time. It was on the Magician's Apprentice. I was sat in my Dalek with the top off, and I heard a voice behind me saying, "Hello, John," and I turned round and he said, "Oh, nice to meet you. I'm Peter." So it's just lovely when, you know, Peter, who's obviously the busiest person on the set, has got time to come up and actually shake your hand and introduce himself. It's just really nice.
So what's next for you? What's coming up? Can you tease us with what's coming up in Doctor Who?
I know nothing. I am in the Christmas episode as something. You won't recognise me.
We can guess.
Yeah, what I'm wearing looks pretty fabulous. So that's all I'm going to say.
Well, thank you very much for talking to us. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you very much.
Cheers.